doing a live Cowboys draft-focused mailbag here on the show. First up is a super chat from Jordan Ramirez. Put this in either, I don't care. Who is your optimal target for the Cowboys in the draft? It's a great question. The pipe dream is they get Marvin Harrison Jr., which would require at minimum like the number 2 overall pick. It's just not going to happen. A more realistic name for someone who's available in the back end of round 1, I like Iowa corner Cooper DeJean. I think he's been really good so far this season. There's a lot of good tackles this year. You know, you're not going to get Joe Alt or Olufashinu, but Amarius Mims could be there for you. He's a solid football player. Bunch of quality receivers. You know, you could go back to the cornerback well. You could play DeJean in the nickel. You could do it. So it's trickier being in the back end of round 1 because you're probably not going to get a guy that I have graded in the first round. From Taco Eater 246, should Dallas draft T'Vondre Sweat out of Texas? So I'll clarify this by saying I like Sweat a lot. I think he's a really good football player. The issue is he is a nose guard. And I think with where you have to take him, which might be between your first round pick and your second round pick, I can't take a second nose guard when I just drafted one in Mozzie Smith. I don't need 2 of those guys both being part-time players when I invested a premium first-round pick and then another pick. So I like Sweat. I think he's a very good football player. The other Texas guy I would actually probably have more interest in because he's more of a 3 technique, and I don't know if Osa is going to be able to be there forever for me. That's Byron Murphy. But I can't invest that much into another nose guard. Josh Little says, dump Michael Gallup and take a wide receiver in the first round. In general, I'm not sure that's the route the Cowboys are going to go from that perspective. I think that might be asking a little bit too much to have them dump a guy that they clearly like him so much. But what I would do, I'll say this as well. There's a very real chance receiver is the best player on your board. This is a great receiver class. Look, Harrison, Keon Coleman, Malik Nabers, Rome Odunze, these guys are all probably going to be gone, but Emeka Egbuka, both Texas guys, Troy Franklin, Brian Thomas Jr., one of those guys is probably going to be there. It's a loaded wide receiver class. So I would not be mad if they took a receiver somewhat early. I just don't know if the need is going to be that focal point for Dallas. So what do you like more? D for draft, T for trades, F for free agency. D, T, or F. It's the pinned comment on today's video, so sound off for me in the comment section right now. Ecuador Man says, how about Van Orange Granger to replace Biadasz? I don't know who this is. I'm guessing he means Sedrick Van Pran, and it's like a weird speech to text thing. Oh, he did say Van Pran in the comments. Don't mind him. Hot take. Maybe it's a hot take, maybe it's not. I like Zack Frazier from West Virginia more. I'm not spending a first-round pick on my center this year, but second round could very well be in the cards. Danson Dak Prescott. Is Emeka Egbuka a realistic option for where the Cowboys might draft? Maybe. You'll see some delineation among those wide receivers. I kind of think Egbuka goes in the same range that Flowers and Johnson, all those other guys went last season. He's not Marvin Harrison Jr. He's not Coleman for me. He's not Nabers. He's not et cetera. But he is a really good player. I think he'd be a fun addition to the Cowboys offense. I'm curious how fast he ends up running. I think he gets open, and I like guys that get open, and people go, oh, Dak-friendly receiver. Well, all receivers who create separation are quarterback-friendly, and that's a good thing. So if Gallup is gone, very possible. If he still sticks around, maybe not in round 1. From Mark, who do you see realistically there on the D and O-line for us? We need help big time, all things being equal. What position do you want, Tom? Tyron Smith is done. Tyron is still playing super well. He is still playing at a pretty darn high level, but he's never able to fully stay healthy. And that does raise some significant red flags from that standpoint. the thing that I trust most about the way this Cowboys team drafts is when they take an offensive lineman, they typically do a pretty good job of it. So, whether that's, I would love Amarius Mims, developmental guy a little bit, but he and Touchdown could be a long 10-year duo on that side of the ball. Talise Fuaga, not mispronounced, out of Oregon State is a good football player. Patrick Paul, Tyler Guyton, Jordan Morgan. There's going to be, I think, a good tackle in round 1. That's the route I would have a tendency to lean with who I think would end up being there. Defensively, I doubt they're going to go edge. Probably won't go DT. I kind of don't want a linebacker. I don't like investing in first-round picks at linebacker that much. But I'd be down with a corner. Maybe that's Cooper DeJean or a Nate Wiggins or someone in that range, the back end of round 1. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the best for last-minute tickets. You should not have to worry about buying tickets to your next big sporting event. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets to your favorite concert, music, sporting event, whatever it is. Game Time has you covered with the absolute best deals, flash zones, etc. I love my favorite part, by the way, about Game Time, and it's because I'm a nerd and I think it's kind of cool, is when you take the phone, you can move the thing left and right and actually move around the kind of like a live photo. I'm a big fan of that. You can see the view from your seat with that feature before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you end up arriving. They also have all-in pricing, so you know exactly how much it costs, and they're giving you $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Create your account and use code CowboysChat for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but create your account and redeem code COWBOYSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, the lowest price, all guaranteed. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will give you 110% of the difference. Alan, will Dallas finally draft a left tackle and move on from Tyron Smith? Very possible. Again, I kind of mentioned earlier, I won't go too far into it. It's a lot of good tackles this year. Fashanu, Leighton aren't going to be there for you, but Fuaga maybe is. Mims maybe is. You could always take Troy Fontenot, the Washington guy, probably play him at guard and put Tyler Smith at left tackle. Good group this year. Good group. Name a player who you want to take in the 2024 NFL Draft. Keep it realistic. I love Marvin Harrison Jr. It just ain't going to happen. Sound off for me in the comment section right now. Daniel M. Should the Cowboys draft Jaylan Ford out of Texas because they have a need at the linebacker spot? I'm not opposed to it. I think day 2, day 3, early day 3, I'm down to start watching for a Ford. Both Clemson guys, Jeremiah Trotter, Barrett Carter, Tommy Eichenberg is kind of a throwback linebacker I don't mind. Edgerrin Cooper's been good for A&M this season. So I'm open to a linebacker on day 2, day 3. Leroy Pearson. Would you take Emeka Egbuka in the second round if he's there, or take a tackle guard in the first? Absolutely. I'd be pretty shocked if Egbuka fell to you in the back end of round 2. It's a good receiver class, and you can talk me into Egbuka being like receiver 6 or 7 taken, but I don't think receiver 6 or 7 gets to you at the back end of round 2. I just find that highly unlikely from that perspective. I would just be very, very surprised if Egbuka fell all the way down to you at that stage. It just seems unlikely at this stage. Now, look, stuff changes. Draft is a constant adjustment period of players rise, player falls. We will have you covered with everything going on this offseason, draft, free agency, maybe some more trades as well. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV. Nosfanews? I still see O-line as our biggest need. Tyron and Zack near retirement, and we need to upgrade at center. Am I wrong? I don't think so. And I think you could say about every single player in the NFL, or almost every team in the NFL. I don't think there's a lot of truly great offensive lines that have no holes. Philly kind of stands out to me. But yeah, adding more offensive line help, I think would make a lot of sense. Ashford 1507. We need to draft Jeremiah Trotter in the first. I don't want to do it. Now, maybe he'll test better and make me feel better about it, but I see a player who, if I could combine the best traits of Barrett Carter and Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I take that guy top 10, maybe. It kind of screams like Fred Warner. Like, Carter's undersized, but he's athletic, so he's not going to be for everyone. I'm a sucker for those undersized linebackers. You don't need an undersized linebacker, though, because you have those players already. Marquise Bell could play that role for you, right? Trotter is kind of a thumper, throwback linebacker, will make some good tackles there, but do I want to take a potentially two-down player in round one? I kind of just did that with Mozzie Smith. Like, the value gained versus taking that guy in round one or round three isn't premium enough for me. Landon Short, will the Cowboys draft a quarterback this season? I don't think so. That was why you sent your fourth-round pick for Trey Lance, who's also like younger than some of the quarterbacks in this year's draft class, if you want to let that sink in. So, I mean, make sure my age is right here. So Trey Lance is, make sure I have this all correct before I sound like an idiot. Trey Lance is 23 years old. Bo Nix is also 23 years old. And Bo Nix is older by a few months. So, like, that's kind of where we're at. Like, people are talking about Bo Nix, first-round pick. He's older than Trey Lance, about to be on the final year of his deal. That's why age matters for draft picks. What do you think will end up being the Cowboys' biggest need after this upcoming season? Sound off in the comment section right now. Leroy Pearson, with no 4th to 6th round picks, how does that affect the way you draft when players slide who might be on the draft board but weren't anticipated on being there? You could always trade a future draft pick. They did it with Eric Scott. You could always go that route again. Always leaves you playing catch-up, or you could trade down in round one, round two at some point, recoup some draft capital. I will say, though, too, you should get at least a 5th and a 6th back via the comp pick process. Dalton Schultz, Noah Brown should fetch you something. Or not Noah Brown. Schultz and Connor McGovern should fetch you a draft pick. So you might only be down like one pick when it's all said and done. Plus the 7th, you'll have 2 of those. Chris B., screw it. Take a wide receiver in round one. It's always a fun position. He's not wrong. You'll buy the jerseys, right? And that's how Jerry wins or whatever. It's a good receiver class. If you wanted that bigger-bodied X receiver, they didn't have him last year. They got those dudes this season. So it's a better draft in that area.